Let's take a look at some stock picks now with David Paul from Vectorvest. Vectorvest is the only FCA-regulated stock market analysis and portfolio management tool. David, welcome.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Hello there. It's interesting to talk to you at this time because the markets are topping out. We've seen an interesting rise and some record highs for some of the benchmarks around the world. So stock picking is very much a serious element to what a lot of people are now doing because they want to continue to ride with those stocks that have been pushed up. What is the Vectorvest edge that you are running with at the moment?
Okay, well, the Vectorvest edge is trifold in that we want to find shares with outstanding fundamental shares that are growing their earnings aggressively and safely. We want to find shares that are rising, and we want to buy those shares into a general market that's rising. And I've named the philosophy value momentum investing. We're looking for value, but we want the share to be moving our way, and we want to be buying those shares when the general market is rising. And when you tick the boxes, you get very lucky at this game. Very lucky indeed.
Let's look back briefly at our last interview. You came in here, let's take three stocks. You were looking at Trifast as one of them, and it's done particularly well over the last year or so.
Yes, it's run from, I got into it myself at about 130 and it's well over £2 now, so that's run exceptionally well. Well managed, medium-sized company, done very well because 2/3 of its sales are in euros, so that's helped with the fall in the pound, that's helped push the share price.
And you are still long the stock? I
am still holding the stock, certainly, and I'm looking for more upside over the next month or two, yes.
Yeah, Costain is another one I know we spoke about last time.
Yeah, Costain's had a great run. It's a small little company, got outstanding prospects. I think the technical target will be up around £5, and I think that if you're a long-term holder of the stock, it's got tremendous potential. If you're a short-term player and you're worried that the stock market may come back, I think that selling it into strength over £5, it would be a good place to bank some cash.
And every so often you get a stock that you pick and all of a sudden it has to leave the market because it's taken over. I know Ithaca, I think 500% it managed to gain last year.
Yeah, that was a really good pick. It pushed on the upside, and I got out of it personally the other day as it gapped up with a deal, yes. Yeah. That was great, yeah.
Good. Let's take a look at your picks today. I want to go first with Kaz Minerals. We've spoken before about some small stocks. This is a larger stock.
Well, yes, Kaz has done exceptionally well on the back of the copper price. I've been talking to all the Vectorvest subscribers about the commodity cycle for a long time. As primarily a technical analyst, I'm always sure that the bigger the bear, the bigger the subsequent bull. And I've been talking about this run in commodities now to anybody who listened to me for the last year. Kaz, we believe that Kaz is significantly undervalued still, but it's been significantly undervalued for most of that chart. And during the start of the year, it in fact went sideways, and it charted a cup and handle pattern, and the first little horizontal line that's on your chart was my first entry just around there. That is the handle of the pattern. Then flew up the page, and then it charted another little cup and handle. And at my last Vectorvest seminar that I did in London here, I advised that I was that I was buying into it and adding to the share there, and it's gone up the page again. We still believe that there's plenty more room in Kaz up till about £9. It is a commodity stock, so on Vectorvest we measure the safety and the predictability of the earnings. And the safety and the predictability of the earnings in a mining stock is normally on the low side, especially as we've sort of come out of a 4 or 5 year bear market. So there is risk. The risk needs to be managed, but it's had a great run. An undervalued share that's trending up the page when the general market has been rising. You tick those three boxes, you get very lucky.
Okay, let's move on and take a look, if we can, at your second pick today, Costain. Now, there's an infrastructure story going on here, isn't there? There's a lot of money expected to go into infrastructure, especially from across the Atlantic.
Well, that's correct. There's $1 trillion in play, and the share is in the throes of a very solid uptrend, and it pulled back. For those people that understand the Fibonacci sequence, it pulled back during the Brexit vote right down to a 78% retracement, and that's where the smartest people in the universe, in fact, bought into it, somewhere down around there. My charted size can see a little flag down the page which is broken on the upside with that downsloping trend line. The market then came back and kissed the trend line, which is always a good technical sign, and it's now pushing up through a 52-week high, and we believe it's on our program. It's significantly undervalued at the moment, growing earnings strongly, and it's got that political edge in that people are talking about infrastructural plays, so I think it'll do exceptionally well. This is a heavy engineering company. Okay.
Is there any indication from the chart patterns that we've got as to how high it could go from this point?
Yeah, I think it can quite easily get up to where that last push on the upside is repeated, and that would take it up towards the £5 level odd.
Okay, that's substantially off the top of the page here. So
somewhere up around there. That would be my target on that, yes. And it looks as if it's getting into quite a high momentum move at the moment, or what technical analysts call markup.
Yeah. Okay, all right, that's Costain. One of the big features of the market recently has been this rise in populism, and of course some would say perhaps maybe the real move started last year with the Brexit referendum vote that we had in June last year. And I know that there were a lot of stocks that emptied out at that point. In fact, one of those was our next pick, and that's Robert Walters. This is a recruitment company, isn't it, which specialises in recruitment for the city? That's
right. Well, yes, that Brexit, many felt that the world was going to end, and that clearly didn't happen. The market came down, took out the last low, and in fact went to a Fibonacci level of that last big range, and abruptly moved up the page. It's now made a right shoulder, and as you've drawn in there, a little head and shoulders reversal. The right shoulder higher than the left shoulder. Looks as if it wants to break through that. The trends are in place. It's significantly undervalued in Vectorvest. It's growing earnings strongly and safely, and I think there's a considerable upside in that little company over the next week or two.
Next week or two, let's take a look at the potential moves. We got the recent highs here was what, 3rd of August 2015. That's 472. Is this stock one that could easily beat that sort of level?
Oh yes, and I think get much higher than that in this run. Yes.
Okay, all right. That's Robert Walters. And your last pick, I think perhaps probably most interested in, because we get a lot of guests in here talking about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is one of the big themes, I think, that a lot of big fund managers are now focusing in on for the future. But of course, it's always key to work out which stocks are going to do well out of this. And I know you brought one along today, which you want to talk about.
Well, yes, a small little company. I think it's a £10 million market cap. It's been listed less than a year. Our program shows that it's significantly undervalued even after this move up the page. It's broken that trend line, and interestingly, in those two big momentum moves that we've seen over the last couple of months, from a technical point of view, as the price rose, the volume rose significantly, and then as the price pulled back, the volume went away completely. Now, Charles Dow, way back in 1880, defined a bull market as a series of rising bottoms, but he also said that a bull market is characterized by, if price rises and volume rises, and then price pulls back and volume falls, that's a characteristic of a bull market. Similarly, the characteristic of a bear market is that if price falls, volume rises, and if price rallies, volume falls. So this is actually showing the characteristics of a bull market. It's in the right place in that it focuses on mobile security, mobile cyber security, and I think 60 to 70% of all the advertising these days on the internet has gone mobile. So I think it's a growing market. This could easily be a big story, but it looks to me as if it wants to break out of that little symmetrical triangle that you've drawn in the chart, and above that it can move strongly. I think this is something that it is a small company, it hasn't got much of a track record, but that aggressive investors trying to get in at the start of a big story should keep their eye on.
Yeah, indications as to how high, excuse me, how high it could go. As you said, there's not much data here. The highs we saw back on 25th of April last year was 160 pence. That would be, excuse me, some 55% up from where we are at the moment. Would that be a good profit to take profits at, or are you going to be in for the longer haul on that?
Well, I think that would be a really, if you were a trader, that would be a really good place to bank some cash. Depending on the story and how the story actually evolves, this could quite easily be much, much, much bigger than that.
Okay, all right. Well, it's an interesting story. Thanks indeed for bringing along your stock picks today.
Thank you for having me.
David, thanks indeed for joining us. David Paul there from Vectorvest UK, where he is Managing Director.